Hello everyone, welcome to a real quick video update I want to do when I talk a little bit about NVIDIA. I want to talk about what's occurred over the last couple days. Before I get into all of this, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your risk, doing your own research. Really just giving my opinion on the market, but really in this particular case, I would really like to just give a real quick and brief update on how I traded NVIDIA and why I traded it, and how it turned into probably one of the best trades that I've done in a really long time. So let's go ahead and move on into the chart. Here looking at NVIDIA, we had a really good move. Now we've been tracking NVIDIA. You can go back on TradingView and you can see the ideas that I've been posting on TradingView going all the way back to this inverted head and shoulders. And when we broke out of this, we were all the way back here like at $185. At the time I said, we're going to be moving up here to, $250, $300. And, now here we are. We had this massive gap up and we've been, consolidating, but we started to break up and out of this. And I want to talk about that because this is how I looked at the charts, and this is how I really identified some of the best ways to make money, trading options. First off, we have our own proprietary indicators that I developed. We've got the Wave Master here, which in and of itself didn't really support a big move to the upside. It was really just the analysis that made an indication that we were going to see a big move up. We had a nice little ABC correction here, and going back here to the beginning of the year, it looked to me like we were creating a little bit of a reversal. So when that happens, you dive in just a little bit more to really get an idea of where the market is going and what it's going to do, how it's going to react. Now, when you're trading options, right, I'll turn this into a little bit of education, but I will also, discuss in great detail why I took some of the trades that I did. But when you're trading options, it's different than trading, say, the actual stock itself, in that you are basically buying or selling the rights to buy or sell 100 shares at a time of a particular stock. But even though you're trading a different instrument, the options are driven off of the price of the underlying asset, right? In this particular case, it's NVIDIA. When you're looking here at NVIDIA, I'm here on like a 5-minute time frame because this is what I like to focus on, right? We had our correction, big correction, and what I really like to focus on, and what you need to focus on, is volume, right? If you don't have volume behind an asset, you're not going to see your options price move significantly. But what we did have, so let me just kind of go in here. What we did have, we saw a gap up and it came back, and we basically, did a little bit of a gap fill here. And then we saw a good steady move up. And I've got, a really simple moving average here. This is the 8 and the 13 moving average. I refer to it as the cloud. It's not like the Ichimoku cloud or anything like that. I just call it the cloud. Because if the 8 and the 13 are crossed bullish on like a 3-minute or a 5-minute time frame, this is going to really define the trend. And if you're trading above the cloud, it's even better. So when we got to the high of the day, that's when I determined, okay, well, we're above the cloud. We had a nice green bar here at basically average volume. So we've got this orange line right here, which is basically just our volume moving average, right? I'm going to talk about all this stuff here in just a minute, but let's just focus right here at the beginning of the day on Thursday, January 4th, right? Gap up, and then we had a gap fill. We get above the cloud, which stayed green throughout the duration of this entire correction, all right? We had this push up, and it broke the high of the day. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, we're probably going to continue moving up. Now, I tend to be a breakout trader when it comes to trading options. Everybody has their own methods. Everybody has their own way of trading options. When I day trade options, I'm looking for momentum, I'm looking for volume, and I'm looking for confluence that it's going to continue moving in that direction. So I got the 4250 call right here, and it was about 10:30 in the morning or so. Got it at 254. Well, we did get that little pullback, but that's okay because we were still trading above the cloud. All right, so 254. It got up to $4 right here. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and take some profit here. I didn't take profit because I thought it was going to pull back. I took profit because we were getting to important levels, right? So we have this level right here from, this would have been Tuesday, right? And now we're really talking about Thursday here. But on Tuesday, this was an important level where we pivoted, right? We had to move up. Right here at this level, we pulled back. So when you get to these levels, it's really important when you're day trading options, take that profit, because that is really, really important, right? And you will find that taking profit is going to be extremely important when it comes to day trading options. So we had a pullback right after that. And then we pushed up a little bit more. We broke that high of the day, took a little bit more profit, and then I rolled. Okay? So I rolled, and I wasn't really sure, right? Nobody really knows for sure what's going to happen. I took a gamble that we were going to continue moving up over time because, again, this is Thursday. Now we're looking at Friday's expiration. And what ended up happening for the rest of the day, we had a little bit of a correction here. But one thing I want to point out is we had this level break right here, which actually ended up really being support in this corrective move here. But look at all of this volume here. You need this volume in order to support and sustain continued momentum. And that's what we ended up getting here in the middle of the day, of all places. Now, typically you get a lot of volume at the beginning of the day, a lot of volume at the end of the day. You don't really tend to get a lot of volume out of nowhere in the middle of the day, but that's exactly what happened here. So this increases confidence that there is buyers' support in this price area. You've got that price agreement, and you've got that sentiment that people want to buy here, which is really crazy because NVIDIA is at this point $483 when it was only at $100, $200 not that long ago. Excuse me. Okay, so enough of that. We had that correction going into the end of the day, but then what did we have? We had a huge gap up and a huge push on gap on monster volume, okay? So we had lots of volume here on this gap up. This is like, 1, 2, 300% or more above average volume. This is monster volume on this gap up. We did not gap fill, right? We are above the cloud. We traded above the cloud. Now, you'll notice here, this is going to be a pretty frequent thing that you're going to notice. If we're above the cloud, I'm trading. Once we get into the cloud, I usually stop, right? We traded up above all day long. We sold that 487.50 that we got here at 207. We sold some 215. We got the 490 call on, again, a continued break up above this previous, the high right there at the beginning of the day on monster volume, right? This is, again, about double the average volume that we had. So, lots of volume here on this day. This is last Friday. So we had that move. We got the 490 at $1. 41% profit here, 110% profit there. As we continue to move up, then we roll to the 492.50. What ended up happening? Well, we sold the 490 call for 180% profit. That 95 cent that we spent on the 492.50, well, we sold that at $1.38 for about 40% profit. And then that 495 we roll, then we sell the 492.50, which we got at 95 cents. We sold that for over 100% profit right here, and that was still only a partial. We got rid of all of it, over 200% profit here. And we sold the 495 here, and this was all at the very top. Now, what are we seeing up here? Let me move this out of the way so we can see it. We're seeing the average volume continue to increase, and we're continuing to see bullish volume. Now, we get to 11 o'clock, things are going to start slowing down, but then what ended up happening? Of course, yes, we started to do this little bit of a pullback. Naturally, that's what we're going to get as we get closer to lunchtime and the end of the day. So now enter Monday, okay? So now we've got Monday, and look at all of this volume. I mean, it's just an insane amount of volume that we had continually, 5-minute bar after 5-minute bar after 5-minute bar. You need this volume for the price to do exactly what it did. We see the volume, we see the gap up, we don't see it stopping, you get in, right? Because there's your momentum, right? You are trading above this level right here, which was where it basically got stopped on Friday. Again, I talked about that going back to earlier in the week, right? And the second and the fourth, right? When you break through a particular level, we broke through that level here with volume. So you get that 500. And then what happens, that $4, okay, you're able to sell that for, 60, 70% profit, sell some of it and roll into a higher strike. We get the 515. Then look at this. We continue to see that increased volume, increased momentum, and the volume is increasing, throughout these first 15 minutes of the day. Increasing volume, right? So take advantage of the volume and take advantage of the trades that work well when you see them, right? When they come, you just harness it. And, we had insane volume on Monday. And we were able to, as you can see here, that 510 we got at $4. Well, we got rid of that 510 at $11, right? Now, I'm not talking about, crypto leverage trading where you can put $5 into a trade and then say, ooh, I made 5,000% profit on a 100x leverage trade. No. I'm talking, you're putting up at least $400 capital for one contract of the 510. And we sold that for $1,100. So we're talking about, $700 profit on just one contract, right? And then, rolling into the 515, you're talking about putting in $500 capital in one contract. We got rid of the 515 at $1,360. That was almost 200%. But what, again, just looking at this, right? And I'm going to hold true to this. We were above the cloud with monster volume. The trend was up. Harness it, right? Once you start to see correction, don't dollar cost average. Don't try and just lower your entry so that you can get out. Just cut a loss if it goes, right? I cut a loss. This final lotto here, 497.50, that lost. It's just the way that it works, right? Just keep going while the trend is still in your favor. This could have just continued moving up, right? We don't know. But what I can say is once we started moving down, correcting, getting inside of that cloud, and starting to see, the cloud start to contract a little bit, that's when you take it easy, you cool off, and you wait for the market to present its next opportunity, which is what happened on Monday. Harness that. We traded above the cloud basically, the whole day we traded above that cloud. And that cloud continued to stay green even into yesterday, right? So, we got that 515 and we sold that, right? We got the 515 at $5. We sold it at 1360. And we sold it at 1360 at the open on Tuesday, yesterday, right? So we saw an incredible amount of selling volume here at the open. But the interesting thing to note, right? So we had to spike up and it started to get sold into, so that's why I got out of the 515 and I sold, some of my 525 that I got. I got that at 470, sold some of that here at 750. Now, what ended up happening, monster selling volume, but what we didn't have was follow through. It continued to maintain above the level that we've got right here. Okay, so just pointing that out, we found some support there, and then we started to see buying into it, getting back up above the cloud. So let's go ahead and basically get rid of the 525, roll into the 530, right? So it's a cheaper contract, which if you're day trading, that's okay. But looking back at the prior 2 days, there is lots of support here, and there is lack of selling follow through. If you have a lack of selling follow through, these sellers are, they're exhausted, right? All of the selling volume and the price barely moved, and it started to go back up above the cloud. And that's exactly what ended up happening, right? We got up above the cloud, we got into this 530 here at 410. We got out of it here partially at 100% profit. And I'm still holding some 530s, by the way, just for full disclosure. Currently is in the money. It looks pretty good. We get that 540 at $4. We sell it at 100% profit because, we're looking at a point in time here where we had lots of selling volume and we're continuing to grind up. But what I've seen over the last couple days, right, and we can go back here and just take a real quick look at this. We move up into about 11:45, then we cool off. We move up until about 11:15, then we cool off. We moved up here, right, about 11 o'clock or so. We start to move sideways a bit, and we do kind of grind up a little bit. But I start to learn my lesson, and I see the patterns here. We're up here at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's well after, like 11, 12 o'clock. We're still above the cloud, but I don't want to push my luck. So I'm going to go ahead and sell some and get some off the table. And then what ended up happening, we started pulling back. I get rid of the 540. Still in some of the 530s, right? But we'll see how things go. Right now, it looks like we're currently setting up for a little bit of a gap up. So these 530s are still about $6.40 in the money. That's not bad. What you need to do is you need to focus on volume when you're day trading options. Focus on volume and focus on trend. And if you have any kind of an indicator that you can use, use the Wave Master indicator. That can sometimes help day trading options. It's better used for equity swings. But the cloud here is really going to be your friend. You've got the 8 exponential and the 13 exponential. When those suckers are crossed on low time frames, right, they can work on higher time frames. It's just a much slower trade. If you do that on like a 3-minute or a 5-minute and you're trading above the cloud is ideal on lots of volume. The more volume, the better. The more volume you have, the better your chances of implied volatility spiking, the better your chances of your premium spiking on the day trading, whatever options you decide to get. But watch those levels, take profit often, roll if the trend is still your friend, right? Continue to roll while it works. This is basically what was going on here. We said, all right, well, we're going to get rid of the 47.50. We're going to get the 490. We're going to get the 492.50. We're going to get the 495. We're going to get the 497.50. Continue rolling while it works. Eventually, it's going to stop working. So as you roll, size down just a little bit, preserve the capital that you've made, preserve the profits that you've made, and start to play with only profits. The more you roll, the more profit you want to capture, so that you're not going to be losing, because you can make 200-400%. Don't put the whole thing in a roll. That's a fool's game. You need to bank some of that. Start every week fresh and go on from there. If there's any questions at all about any of my trades that I've done, always feel free to ask. I did want to document this both for our insured members and also for the general community, for all of you that are watching. And I really do appreciate you watching. I'm going to be doing a couple more videos, more than likely today or tomorrow. I want to talk a lot about the M2 money supply. I want to talk about Bitcoin and the SPX and all of that, and where I think we could be heading in those areas over the next few weeks, going into basically the end of February. So be ready for those. Make sure that you have subscribed to the channel to get alerts for those videos that I will be publishing. And last but not least, wherever you are in the world, hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a great evening. Take care, everyone.